Today we're going to go ahead and wrap everything up for the first edition Pathfinder Oracle by looking at the general strategies and tactics that you're going to be employing. Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to the Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your Master of Lore and Storyteller Extraordinaire, here to wrap things up for the first edition Pathfinder Oracle. Today we're going to be talking about the Oracle's strategies and tactics, and man, there's a lot to cover and there's a few caveats to throw in there, but before we get into all of that, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or, if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on such an incredible roster of legendary heroes, and go on down to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. But now let's actually start digging into the meat of the issue here. Now, when it comes to your oracles, they vary wildly depending on their revelation selection, the curse selections. However, our time oracle is going right into being an anti-caster. That's what you're going to be fairly suited for, especially with a lot of the spells and revelations we picked out along the way through this build. Now, every character should be trying to geek the mage first, but with being a full spellcaster and decent armor, revelations like temporal celerity to roll twice on initiative and take the better result, or speed and slow time to aid yourself or mess with your enemies, and erase from time to temporarily remove targets from existence, you're going to be ideally suited to disrupting enemy casters, and you're going to do so fairly reliably, especially temporal celerity. That is going to being able to roll twice and take the better result, especially when you've got a bonus from your dexterity score, improved initiative to boot, and then any number of other buffing spells that you can throw down on yourself, you are really going to have an edge when it comes to going first, or if not first, at least high in the initiative order. And then when it comes to actually closing the distance with those targets, by the time you hit 13th level, you're going to be able to do so with Abandon using the Flickering Step feat, which will allow you to use Dimension Door as a spell-like ability, letting you safely close the distance with important targets and bypassing a lot of threats. And once you're there, Toughness, your heavy armor proficiency, and divine interference will help you survive those close combat encounters with other spellcasters, where other spellcasters could not. Now, one thing that I did miss covering when I went over equipment is you're going to want to get Mithril full plate as soon as possible. With heavy armor proficiency, that is going to provide you the maximum in armor class bonus protection. Now just bear in mind, it doesn't do much for your touch armor class, so still finding ways of boosting your deflection bonus is going to help with that immensely. But also when you're there, combat casting is also going to ensure you're able to use your various spells while under duress. And that will be incredibly important for you because your spells are such a big part of your ability to engage in combat, affect the battlefield, debuff your opponents on all those all-important targets. And your spells and other revelations do give you really good debuffing options and an ability to control the battlefield. Time Sight and all of its benefits leave enemy spellcaster buffs a bit nerfed, particularly the true seeing part of that particular revelation. Also, Time Stop becomes available to you as a bonus spell and spell-like ability with Time's final revelation. With Miracle, you're basically unstoppable, but all of those are coming in at more high-level plays, so if you're playing around level 17 or so, expect to get into these and be really, really terrifying. Although, if you're playing that kind of a level game, campaign with a DM, they're probably going to throw some really horrific things at you, so be prepared. Also, you're going to want to support yourself by supporting your allies with spells like Summon Monster and Heretic's Tongue, to take some targets out of the fight, create flanking opportunities, and to cover your own back as you close the distance. Spells like Righteous Might will enhance your own combat capabilities immensely, which again is another edge that you'll have against a lot of other spellcasters. And Summon Monster, especially once you're into those level 5, 6, 7 Summon Monster spells, are going to give you some really interesting options, since many of those creatures start coming in with their own spell-like abilities that they're able to use. But of course, there's still just so much more that you can do, but it really depends on what your final few feats are going to be looking like and what other spells you might decide to pick out for yourself. Just bear in mind that as a spontaneous spellcaster, you're going to have more feats per day, but you're not going to have as wide and diverse a spell selection that clerics will have. You can pick out spells from the cleric spell list, but you're not going to be able to just replace those spells on a day-to-day basis. But that's where feats like Divine Interference are going to be useful, because your first and second level spells, you're going to have plenty of extras of those that aren't really going to see as much use at those higher levels of play. So you can spend a spell slot or two to force an opponent to re-roll an attack that would otherwise hit you. So that is going to be incredibly beneficial for you. Although again, like I said, so much of this just depends on what spells you decide to throw out there. So definitely think about what you're going up against and work with your DM a little bit to the extent that they're able or willing to, and you should come out of this just fine, especially with this build. You're going to be an unholy terror against enemy spellcasters. I mean, just Erase from Time alone is well worth the choice of taking this particular class, to say nothing of Time Stop. I mean, Time Stop is amazing. It's an incredible spell. I mean, basically you get several turns worth of actions all to yourself with almost no outside interference, short of a deity or deity-like figure stepping in to start messing with things. But then, that's just a bit of Deus Ex Machina on your DM's part. But what do you think? Go on down to the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? Are there any particular takes that you might recommend out there? Because, like I said earlier, the Oracle class is just really cool what you can do with it, and you can do so much depending on the revelation that you select. I mean, it's wild. Absolutely fun, and again, I'm just supremely disappointed that none of my players have decided to pick this particular class. But once again, I've been your host, Jordan, your Master of Lore, Storyteller Extraordinaire. Remember, if you haven't subscribed already, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, or even the dislike button, and leave your comments and thoughts down below so we can engage in discussion. But with all that said, thank you so very much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.